I want to welcome back GOP strategist Erin Perrine from Axiom Strategies, and also with us Democratic strategist Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State during the Obama administration. Okay, goody. We're going to talk about all of this. Erin, I know you were with us, obviously, last hour when we received news. How much of a win is this for the Trump campaign, especially on the heels of that very incoherent debate by, of course, President Biden?
This is a very solid win for the president. Even the notion that there was some level of immunity that he could have in this instance, and that there is time to figure out what was an official or an unofficial act. For Donald Trump, this case was already going to likely be delayed beyond the election should it have moved forward, and now it definitely will. To Blake's point, as he was saying, Democrats were really hoping to have the theater of a courtroom surrounding Donald Trump all the way through the election, and they're not going to get that now. Couple that with Joe Biden's disastrous debate performance. Again, to Blake's point, this has been a very solid few days for Donald Trump, Republicans, and his campaign, as Joe Biden had a terrible debate performance. And now we're seeing that Donald Trump will not be in a courtroom as of this juncture before the election.
Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously, there are some people who are watching this and trying to make sense of it all, Joel. But I think that, you know, from one comment that we're getting from our sources there at the Supreme Court, the justices decided that former President Trump was presumptively immune for pressuring Vice President Mike Pence at the time, which is one of the specific charges that Jack Smith had zeroed in on. Does that make sense to you, having served in a cabinet yourself?
Well, starting with the last question first, Adrian, it's great to be with you. I guess this now means that President Biden has the right to stay in office after this election, regardless of what the American people want, if he pressures through his official office to stay in, right? I mean, that's essentially what the Supreme Court is saying. So this is a frightening moment for American democracy. We should understand that our leaders are not allowed to conduct coups to stay in office, kind of a basic elemental fact of American life in the constitutional republic as we have it, or at least as we had it up until this moment. And I am worried about the future because of this ruling. And I think to the bigger picture, you know, look, when Donald Trump was at the debate the other night, I know there's a lot of focus on Joe Biden, as there should be. He's the sitting president. Why not? And it was a hard debate. Donald Trump didn't exactly win that debate. He was gaslighting the American people, lying about his record, misrepresenting facts to the level of dozens, overstating his successes in such a way that if you looked at the numbers afterwards in fundraising, Joe Biden more than doubled the intake of money after that debate over Donald Trump. So there is certainly a lot of concern because, oh my God, the sitting president has a lot more on his plate than just preparing for a debate, unlike Donald Trump. But, you know, this is not the first time a sitting president has had a rough first debate. And I think that we're seeing the Democratic Party very clearly understanding the stakes. And if there was ever a reminder, it's rulings like today, as well as those on Friday by the Supreme Court, that essentially are trying to overturn the constitutional laws as we have known them for all of our lives.
Well, I want to stay focused on this Supreme Court decision. But since you brought it up, Joel, do you have concerns that the sitting president of the United States, not just performing in a debate, but actually seeming to have some cognitive issue, could stand to stay in office for 4 years? Do you have concerns surrounding his capability or his health?
Not at all. Look, he's been doing his job for 3.5 years at an exquisite level. He led the fight to end COVID. He's rebalancing our economy to impressive levels of unemployment at the lowest in 50 years. Restored American global leadership, rebuilt coalitions against Russia and dealing with China. It was clearly a hard night. But I've been a candidate before, Adrian. You know, this is not a simple process when you run for office. And a lot of the people who are calling for him to step down have never put their foot in the arena. Winning a presidential campaign is about a lot more than just one debate in 90 minutes. And I think the president, he's demonstrated since that debate, as well as over 3.5 years, that we have very little to worry about. And in fact, look at Donald Trump and what he was saying. It made no sense at all on Thursday night, but he's getting a free pass, unfortunately.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.